So, do you feel like straight up the love was reversed between you and Nick and April and Kayla? So, like, did he fall more in love with April than he did with Kayla? Like,
yes, 100%.
So it was like a full on.
I'm not sitting here going. Kayla and I were so in love, and those two hated each other. They kind of
it's like switched almost.
They kind of fought and tiffed with each other more than Kayla and I did. But I think the feeling was there, you know, like it was with Kayla and I. I think both of us, I think all of us were tired of the other person. I know April was tired of my nagging about drugs. I know that Nick and Kayla had been unhappy for a long time. And I was
Did
really.
Kayla express any of the reasons why she was unhappy in the marriage to you?
She feels like Nick gaslights her. She feels like Nick, when she has a concern, Nick has a habit of turning it around and making it look like she's doing something wrong, to the point where she gets very frustrated. And like, Nick's not he's retarded, don't get me wrong, but he's not a dumb guy.
No.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
No.
Like, he makes some of the dumbest fucking decisions and says some of the stupidest shit of any human being I've ever fucking met in my life, and it's infuriating, but he's intelligent, if that makes sense. So like with someone like Kayla, if he can be domineering over someone and he can overtalk them, they can kind of convince someone who's not as convicted as he is that they're in the wrong and he's in the right. And that would happen with Kayla a lot.
Yeah, he's smart.
Did
He's
you,
smart at setting up the gaslight. Like
Can you like point to an example? Like, did you ever see this happen in real life?
God. Should we do the fix her story?
Let's go.
All right,
Yeah.
so the fix her story. I'm going to say January, February. And I just thought of a story that made me really fucking mad. So the fix her story. You guys got time, right?
Yeah, we got all the time in the world for you, bud.
All you, man.
So the fix her story. Nick and Kayla are screaming at each other in the bathroom. And I think I'm in the bedroom. I don't know where April is during the fix her story. I think April and I were in the bedroom. April and I were in the bed. Nick and Kayla were fighting. There was always drama. I always described the relationship between the four of us as we went from disaster to disaster, drama to drama. It was an intensely frustrating, stressful place to be. And I think it's because 3 people were on coke and one of them most of the time wasn't. And that's a frustrating spot to be for me. So Nick and Kayla are shouting, screaming at each other. I mean, frighteningly. They would have these knockdown drag-outs. I mean, just nasty fights. Some of them would end with Nick walking around hitting himself in the head like a fucking ape. This one in specific, Nick and Kayla are yelling at each other. Nick comes storming out of the bathroom. I hear Kayla crying. Nick points at me. This really upset me. Nick pointed at me and he goes, "Go in there and fix her."
What did he mean?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Go in there and fix her.
Whoa.
So I go in there and she's on the floor crying, basically in a ball crying. And I comfort her and I talk to her a little bit. And it's just, I mean, I don't know the specific conversation because these all run into each other. A variation on, you know, he's gaslighting me. I'm so frustrated. Nobody understands me. Nobody can see me. Nobody can hear me. That's how we got close, is one of the things she would always say to me. And I would say to her, she would look at me she wouldn't want to talk about what was wrong. And I would start going, well, is it this? Is it, I understand maybe you feel this way, blah, blah. And she would look at me with tears in her eyes. She would go, "You speak my thoughts." And that would touch me. That really, like, I'm not, like, you guys are going to find, I'm not some fucking monster who's here to just rat people out.
Oh, obviously
This touched me. This meant something.
Yeah.
So in the fix her thing, I go in there, I talk to her, and it's just they're fighting. And then Nick comes back in and they start yelling at each other again. Now I'm in between the two of them. This is remarkably uncomfortable. I'm not high. They're high, or at least he's high. And they just start fighting. Literally, I'm in between the two of them. Kayla leaves. Nick pours out the 2 biggest fucking rails of coke I've ever seen in my life. And granted, I haven't seen that much, but bigger than what they usually did. And just rips them back to back. To the point, now he and I were still friends at this point. Literally stopped, put my hand on his shoulder. I said, "Buddy, are you sure that's okay? Because he had just done some before that. I said, buddy, are you sure that's all right? I don't want your fucking heart to explode in the fucking bathroom here. Nick always had this way of WebMDing his shit to explain it away. He would go, no, well, what you don't understand is no matter how much I'm doing right now, it doesn't get me more high. It takes time for it to process and come down. And I'm like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a stimulant supercharging the fuck out of your heart and you dropping dead. Like, no, it's fine.
Was he actually showing you shit online? Was he actually showing you stuff online?
No, he had an encyclopedia of bullshit.
So he acted I already looked at this up. I searched this already.
One time I asked him, because this was late. This was probably a week or two before I bailed. I confronted him. I said, dude, I know her and I aren't on the best of terms right now. This is when she was out. I was ready to file, like, just about over. Like, April and I had crossed the Rubicon already. There was no going back. But I did still care. And I'm like, dude, she's doing a lot. It's like every day. And you guys are drinking a lot. Like, even Kayla came to me once and she said, Aaron, you need to talk to Nick or April because our liquor bottles are disappearing very quickly around this house. I said, okay, talk about it. I talked to Nick. I go, and I didn't really want to talk about the booze. I was more concerned about the coke. That's what scared the shit out of me. And I said, the cocaine use, dude. Let's talk about it because it's not good. We need to cut back on that shit a little bit. And he gave me this reason. He said, well, Aaron, what you don't understand is, understand how like people with ADHD, the stimulants they take allow them to pay attention better because their attention span goes up like this with the stimulant. It meets their demand for the, So he says about cocaine, he goes, well, Aaron, you see, sometimes our minds can only handle this much stress. But we have this much stress. So when I do cocaine, it elevates my body's ability to deal with stress to here, so I can then deal with the stress I face. And I remember just going to him, I go, that's total bullshit.
What was the stress? What was the stress that what was he mentioning? Like, what was the stress?
Andy,
was the kids?
What you don't understand is this man was streaming at that point 1 or 2 days a week.
Okay.
He had a trust fund.
Yeah.
And that's very stressful.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Life's tough, bud. Life's tough.
I want to
say, there were some times with Nick where, as the son of a fucking baker and a lunch lady, I was like, you entitled cunt. Like, just fucking man up and handle your shit.
Yeah.